Good evening. Cecilia here with the weight room. And we usually do our Sunday stories around 6 o'clock, so I'm a little early, but I have no guests this week, so it's just going to be me and my story. And then my mom will be meeting up with her on Tuesday. We're going to go get pedicures, getting my nails done. So while we do all that, we will learn more about my mom's story on her weight loss journey. Back in the early 2000s, she had gastric bypass surgery, and she lost a ton of weight. And so being on this journey, I've really connected with my mom very closely, on watching my body, my side effects, things like hair loss or nutrient deficiencies, things like that. My mom is very keen on identifying if there's a lack of something going on. My mom experienced terrible side effects from having weight loss surgery. It could have been just the way that hers was done, and it was done in the early 2000s. So a lot of traumatic things happened. So that's why she's just being very cautious and very mindful of what I'm going through. So we'll be meeting with her on Tuesday. So as we go get pedicures and I get my nails done, we'll go through her story and really connect with her and her journey. So tonight I am going to touch base on my journey, share my my struggles, how I started, what I'm doing, all that good stuff. But I really want to focus on a couple things specifically tonight. And if you caught my last video, people are asking, how are you losing weight by eating whatever you want? And you're not counting calories, you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not restricting yourself in any way. And I really want to touch base on that and let everyone understand that I really dived into understanding what these GLP medications are and how they work for type 2 diabetics. Because if I'm going to take a medication that is specifically designed for type 2 diabetics, I want to understand how it works for them. And then I want to understand the correlation between my current situation and a type 2 diabetic situation. Why are these medications working for both of us? And why are they so similar? Our situations so similar? So that's really what I dived into, and I really want to talk about that tonight here on my story. So I'll jump into it. If anybody misses tonight's Sunday story, no worries. I always upload the replays onto my YouTube, and I hope you guys can catch it there. So, quick introduction again. Hello. My name is Cecilia. I have been on a weight loss journey since August 10th of 2022. This is 25 and a half weeks of Mounjaro, which is a GLP and GIP medication for type 2 diabetics to help control your glucose levels and reduce your insulin production and correct insulin resistance. So in doing so, in 25 and a half weeks of this medication, I have titrated up in specific doses, and I am now 72 plus pounds down from my original weight. I am not saying any of this to brag. I'm just here to help educate and inform people of my journey and how things have gone for me. Because I had lots of aha moments where like lights went off. Like, oh my God, I wish I knew this sooner. So anything that I'm explaining tonight is more of just like those aha moments for myself. And hopefully they will help somebody tonight and their journey as well. So little backstory about me. My highest weight was around 280. I think it was like 277 exactly a year ago when I was going to the doctor. So it's pretty high, and I'm 5'5". So how did I get to that weight? So as a child and as a young adult, I was very athletic. I never was obese. But like I said at the beginning of this live, my mom struggled with her weight for a very long time. So there is a hereditary issue there with our weight. But when I was younger, I was very athletic, involved in lots of sports. But I was built differently than the girls I went to high school with. What do I mean by that? So when I went to high school, nearly all the girls that were in my grade or even in my school were all like a size 0 to a size 3. If you understand sizing, they were very petite. And in high school, I was a size 5'7". And I think maybe at the end of senior year, maybe I wore a 9, or maybe that was going into first year college, I started wearing a 9. Now, looking back on those sizes, those are not big sizes. 5, 7, and 9 are not big sizes. But I felt big comparative to those who I went to school with. I was on the basketball, I was on volleyball, I was on dance, I was on cheerleading. I was always the bigger girl. But I wasn't big. If that makes sense? I'm telling myself that now. Current me is telling my previous younger self I was not big. I wish I would have known in the moment that I was just a more full-figured young individual than the people I went to school with. I wish I knew that, and I wish I would have learned to maybe appreciate and love what I was. I was just a more full-figured girl in high school rather than being very petite and not really had gone through puberty or anything like that. So I wish I never compared myself to those I went to high school with. And so if you have young children, or if you are young yourself, please know that your body is beautiful. And just because you're in high school doesn't mean that that's what everything's supposed to look like. You're still developing, you're still young, you're not done maturing and going through growth spurts. Like, I just wish I would have loved myself more through high school than I did. So out of high school, totally felt it immediately. As soon as I got into college, I didn't have practices, I didn't have games, I didn't have a game to go cheer at, I didn't have anything going on. I was supposed to go to school for volleyball for college, and I ended up having jaw surgery my senior year, so I did not go to college for sports. My intention was to. Sorry, I have a hair. So in college, I did not do any sports. I just worked and studied. I actually worked 2 full-time jobs, and I went to school full-time. And I immediately saw it come on. I started in size 9, then jumped to a size 12. And I think the last time I said something about my weight, like noticeably remembered my weight shifting, is when I had to start buying size 15 shorts. And at the time, nothing really was bothering me. I just thought I was filling out in more areas than I had before. And most of it was my waist and my butt. I definitely carried all my weight in my stomach and in my butt. Butt, leg, thighs, that type of thing. So I wasn't terribly concerned because I was more curvy. I was growing up. I was bartending. I was out drinking with all my friends. I was going out all the time. My body wasn't an importance. I was more worried about getting school done and then where we were going that night. I just stopped caring. Not caring, but it wasn't on my mind. In high school, I felt like it was more on my mind because I was constantly surrounded by people who were much smaller than me, constantly reminded in the dressing room that I didn't look like everybody else, constantly reminded that I was one of the bigger cheerleaders. All of that was always going through my mind. So now as a young adult in college, it was I didn't have to think about that anymore. I wasn't going into locker rooms anymore. I wasn't getting uniforms fitted anymore. I wasn't taking pictures with the teams anymore. All that was over with. And so like I never had that comparison anymore as I got into college. And people liked me for me. They loved that I was an outgoing individual and I was always down to party. So I know my eating and drinking habits in college definitely led me down a path of like eating the wrong things, drinking the wrong things. It was always Corona Light. It was always garlic cheese sticks. Like it was lots of carbs, lots and lots and lots of carbs. So by the age of, I think it was 22 or 23, I had a very bad situation happen and I had to be rushed to the emergency room and ended up having to have my gallbladder taken out. At that time, at that very moment, I was 190 pounds. I always thought at that point, like, oh, don't worry. I can go to the gym. I can lose 10, 15 pounds and I'll be back to what I was in high school. From that point forward is when I could not do anything to lose weight. No matter what I ate, no matter if I went and exercised, no matter if I just didn't eat, I would not lose weight. And that's when I really noticed the shift in my body's function of working the way it used to, like I did in high school. Definitely being more involved in things. My metabolic rate was much quicker than at that point in my life. And I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to really understand what was going on other than I must be failing. I must be doing something wrong. So I don't really think I focused on it. I kind of just said, whatever, this is me. And hey, how are you, Shauna? I always just accepted who I was. And I understood that my weight didn't define who I was and how I loved myself. So throughout college, I definitely gained a lot of weight. I'd say from the time I was 23, so I was 190 then. So 190 to 277 pounds. And now I'm going to be 36 next month. In 1 month, actually. It's 1 month till my birthday, right? Yes. 1 month till my birthday. So I noticed that let's just call it like 90 pounds. So 90 pounds in less than, well, it's been 90 pounds in about 12 years. That's what kept creeping up. 10 pounds, 10 pounds, 10 pounds. Like it just kept going up. And I did not know what I was doing wrong. I would eat right. I would exercise. I was going on diets. I would not eat. I would just drink broths. I mean, I did everything I could possibly think of. And I at one point, I felt better not caring about how much I weighed. And I think probably around the age of 27 or 28, so about 3 or 4 years into trying to lose weight, I just stopped thinking about it. Not that I stopped caring. It's just I stopped weighing myself. I stopped trying to go on a diet. I just ate what I wanted and I stopped trying to fix something. So 28 is about the time period that I met Ryan. And at that same time, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. So at that point, I was with my previous boyfriend and I had just met Ryan. Ryan's my current partner. My previous partner chose not to be at the hospital with me when I had my first surgery for my cervical cancer. My previous partner did not want to go to any of my doctor's appointments, be at any of my surgeries. And like, we had been in this like breaking up stage for quite a while. And the reason I even met Ryan was because my previous, boyfriend said that I had to get a second job to help pay for bills. And looking back on it, I just don't even know how I even tolerated somebody saying that to me, but I'm just so thankful that he did, because it led me down a different path. I did not immediately start dating. Ryan. Ryan was, he ran the pizzeria that I went and got a bartending job at. And that's the restaurant that we run now. So within like 2 months of starting at the restaurant, Ryan knew I was having my surgery, and he knew that my ex wasn't going to the hospital, and he texted me the entire day just to like make sure that I was okay mentally and physically, and to let me know when I could come back to work. And just was very kind. And Ryan has been very kind to me since day one. And it led to a beautiful friendship that led to a wonderful relationship that we have now. I did not go getting a job at Knuckles, our restaurant. I did not go there seeking another partner. It just happened naturally, and I'm so thankful for him. Okay, yes. So Marsha, my mom is going to come on Tuesday. So Sunday Stories, we didn't end up meeting up today. We both end up having like a relaxing day. And we didn't do errands or anything today. So Tuesday, we're going to get pedicures and manicures done. So we're going to do the story on that day. I'm calling it Sunday Stories, but we're going to do her story on Tuesday. But if you miss it for any reason, it's going to be later in the evening, probably after 5. I think we're going to get there any time between 3:30 and 5, and then the place closes at 7. So we're going to go in between that time. If you miss it for any reason, my YouTube is linked in my bio. I put all the replays on there. So, yes. So at this point in my journey, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer around 28 years old. I am now about to be 36. So a lot of things happened. Yes, my mom's amazing. We went through a nasty breakup, with my last partner, and instead of being nasty, I just kind of walked away from my entire life that I had with him. I lived with my mom for a little bit, and then the location for my mom to our restaurant is a little bit far, maybe 12 miles, which isn't awful, like when I say it out loud. But when you're trying to go back and forth, it's daunting. So there was a couple nights where Ryan was like, hey, you can just stay at my apartment, which is across the street from the restaurant. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like, we were friends. We would hang out after work. And, like we hung out. So it wasn't like weird. And then we started dating a couple months later. And we've been inseparable since then. And I absolutely love Ryan for his kind heart and his ability to have such an open mind. But since our relationship began, we have constantly been big foodies. Running a restaurant and trying to see the things that you can do better, we constantly went to other restaurants in the area, watching the service, watching the food, seeing the different products come out just to see what we could do better. I know there's a big gap that I left out in there, but most of it was just me and Ryan's relationship growing and maturing into what it is now. But a lot of I think, at least in my relationship with Ryan, my weight gain came from getting comfortable in a healthy relationship, getting comfortable being around a man who didn't care how much I weighed. My previous partner made comments about it quite often. And it just felt more comfortable. And when you are in a safe, comfortable position with your partner, I think a lot of those like boundaries and like those walls that we put up to protect ourselves come down. You get comfortable. And it's not that I let myself go or anything like that. It's just, I think we started to be more comfortable in like, I didn't care if he gained weight. I didn't care if I gained weight. That just wasn't a concern. We were just happy with our, like what's the word? With, I'm trying to think of the word. Why am I blanking? Oh, with our companionship. Like, I loved being with him. I don't know why I had a hard time thinking of that word. So yeah, so definitely had health issues my entire life. I know I kind of skipped over some of that, but my gallbladder surgery was like the milestone of when I noticed my weight gain. And I know that messes with your metabolic rate and like how you process your foods and stuff like that. My entire life I've had digestive issues. So I've always had that going on, like nearly my entire life. And I did not find out until just probably a year or two ago. Man, everything's running together. COVID, like, I cannot separate the beginning of COVID and now. Like, it feels like it's all just been this one big long year. So recently, I don't know how long ago it was. That kind of worries me that I can't differentiate like the beginning of COVID and then like the time frame from now. I don't know why it feels like it all just ran together, but recently I found out I do have severe food allergies. Severe in the sense of there's a lot of them. I'm allergic to wheat. I'm allergic to gluten. I'm allergic to barley, oats. I can't have oatmeal. And it makes so much sense. Nuts, tree nuts, soy, shellfish. It makes so much more sense now of why I had so many digestive issues even as a child. So fast forward, I know I skipped over a lot of things. I know there are some pieces that are missing, but overall I had a lot of digestive issues my entire life. I've always had asthma my entire life, but my weight gain didn't start until I had gallbladder surgery. I had my gallbladder removed, and after that point, it was like my body, like it had always had issues, but like then my body really didn't process my foods. After my gallbladder was removed, I had several instances where I had to go to the hospital because I had blockages. And that was awful. Intestinal blockages. Those were awful. And it was very, very, very bad. There was multiple times where I didn't have bowel movements for over 2 weeks. And that was probably my biggest concern, more so than my weight, is that I could never go to the bathroom regularly. And I think I focused more on that and sought help for that more than anything. I'm going to be 36 and I've had so many colonoscopies and endoscopies for my age, because that was something I knew there's something wrong there. Like I should be able to go to the bathroom. And what's funny is I did not really get that fixed until I identified that I had food allergies. My food allergies were the problem. And what was happening is, instead of having anaphylactic shock, like where your throat swells up, my intestines swell up and like constrict, and it's really weird. So it's an intestinal allergy rather than an anaphylactic, meaning making my mouth, my lips, my tongue, my throat, that doesn't swell. It's all in my stomach. Now, if I do digest anything that I'm allergic to, something does happen, like topical. My face will break out like in hives, and I get very flushed and I'm very red. But it's just on my face, nothing else. So if I do want to eat like regular pasta or something with gluten in it, or if I don't know if something is, I try to be at home rather than out in public. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like debilitating, but it's very uncomfortable because within like minutes, it does one or two things. You can either, it either instantly hits you with severe stomach pains where you feel like you're being stabbed in your stomach, and that's what it feels like when everything hits your intestines, and then you have like instant having to run to the bathroom and everything comes out, or it won't come out for days. It's really weird. I don't know the rhyme or reason, so I've just kind of not ate that stuff. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but these were the two things that stood out the most that affected like my metabolic rate, like the way my body processed food. So my food allergies and having my gallbladder removed, those two things were big milestones in my whole life that helped me get to this journey that I'm on now. So fast forward to last January, so a year ago, I had my annual checkup with my primary care doctor, and my blood work came back abnormal, and it had been coming back abnormal for many years. And most of the time they just tell me to eat better, lose some weight, and you'd be better. Well, I had been trying that and it was so discouraging. So at that point, I had asked for my blood work to be re-reviewed. I was not happy with my white blood cells and my platelets, which led me to this journey on Mounjaro. She referred me to a hematologist at the oncology office with Illinois Cancer Center. I met with an oncologist, started learning about white blood cells, learning about platelets, and learning what causes white blood cells to be high. And there's several different reasons. Majority of the reasons is due to high inflammation and high infection. So infection or inflammation. So I started digging more into learning about inflammation. What causes inflammation? Could it be from something I already have? Can it be from my asthma? Can it be from being on steroids? Can it be from other things? And I stumbled across the series of how insulin resistance causes inflammation. That was the snowball effect. Insulin resistance causes inflammation. Insulin resistance causes obesity. Insulin resistance is a cause of type 2 diabetes. I started stumbling on these connections. And it wasn't far-fetched for me to dive into these type of things or in these medical journals that had this information, because my brother is type 2 diabetic, or no, he's type 1 diabetic. So my brother is diabetic. So it wasn't far-fetched for me to understand or think about possibilities of a connection of diabetes in this realm of like what's causing this. So this is going to tie into why I think it's very important for us to understand what these medications do. So last summer, after I had been going to the hematologist and trying to figure out what's going on with my blood counts, I lost, hey Katrina, I saw the Weight Doc here on TikTok talk about the connection of insulin resistance and Mounjaro. I saw it on TikTok. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I started Mounjaro because of seeing content here on TikTok, and I'm very thankful for that. And I just really thought to myself, okay, if Mounjaro can help with insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is connected to inflammation, and inflammation is connected to white blood cell counts, well, maybe if I take Mounjaro, it will help reduce the inflammation and reduce the insulin resistance, which will bring down my white blood cell counts. And that's why I started it. 15 pounds down since I first talked to you on here. Yay! Very low carb, almost no sugar, and now 1 week. Yay! Low carb, protein has meal replacement. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Katrina, that's what I'm going to talk about here, is like how I shifted my food and my food thoughts. I'll get into that in just a second, but that makes me so happy for you. Yay! That's exciting. Everybody tap the screen. Oh, yay. I'm so happy for you. Okay, so started Mounjaro. I thought, okay, I want to see if this will help my white blood cell counts, because I want to reduce my white blood cell counts. Because if you guys don't know, white blood cell counts, although they mean inflammation or infection, it also, high counts can be signs of leukemia. So all of last year, I went through a bunch of testing to see if I had leukemia. Everything came back clear, but my numbers were still high. So just this past month, I went through another testing, a bone marrow testing, which was awful, to see if I had, so they could dig deeper. Long story short, everything has come back clear. I just have rare blood and everything is abnormally normal. So they expect this with my, well, we have to identify what my blood type is, but they're assuming that is due to my blood type, that I'm having these abnormalities. And we'll get that here. I think we do that test in 6 months, but for now, everything is fine. So praise the Lord. Hallelujah. No leukemia, but this is what led me down this path to even start Mounjaro. So fast forward or rewind to last summer of starting Mounjaro. I'm sorry, but I could not take a medication without understanding how it physically worked. I don't know if it's my ADHD. I don't know if it's my autism. I don't know what it is, but I had to fully understand the ins and outs of how this medicine worked and why it worked for diabetes and how it could potentially work for weight loss. I had to understand that. And it scares me that a lot of people here on TikTok are in complete denial that they have any similarities to those who are type 2 diabetic. It scares me that people don't think that they need to monitor their glucose levels. Although maybe you don't need to, this medicine specifically is controlling your glucose levels. This medicine is specifically reducing your insulin production, and that is why it's helping type 2 diabetics. Type 2 diabetics overproduce insulin, or their insulin is constantly at a high rate, like it's not coming down. So why it's so important is if you can reduce the amount of insulin that you're producing, if you can keep it from being too high, how can you do that without knowing where it's at? If you can do it without knowing, like, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. But I cannot understand how you can track something that you can't see. So that's why this works for me. Being able to physically track my glucose levels and keep them consistent is what has allowed me to eat what I want and not have to count calories, be in a calorie deficit, count carbs or anything like that. Identifying what spikes my glucose was probably the hardest, and it took about a month to understand. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. It has changed my life. Oh yes, Katrina, it has saved me. It has saved my life, and I am so happy that it's been life-changing for you too. I'm at 4 minutes and cardiologist approved Phentermine only because I have, going on to learning about like what foods spike my glucose levels. So it's pretty much everything that I was allergic to. So my situation, maybe it was a little bit easier for me to eliminate those things just because I had a secondary reason not to eat them. So I had a secondary reason of not to eat them, meaning the breads, the pastas, all that stuff. So all carbs turn into sugars, and then sugar is what controls your blood sugar. So like that all spikes too. So, my glucose monitor, I don't have one on right now. I'm waiting. So they were out of stock at CVS on Friday. They got them in late. My specific CVS that's inside a grocery store is not open on the weekend right now. So they'll have it in on Monday. I have one, but I didn't want to put it on until I knew when I was going to get my next two. So I've been this weekend without one on. And let me tell you, it has drove me nuts. I miss having it on. I miss knowing if my feelings are related to something. So I'll dive into that in a second. But figuring out what spikes my glucose levels. I didn't know rice spiked my glucose levels. I didn't know that some of the healthy smoothies that I was having, like, it didn't register in my mind that, I don't know how to say this without sounding so fucking stupid. Like, the things I thought were healthy and good for me, although they were good, like, it was causing a reverse reaction because I specifically need to control my glucose levels. Oh, that's okay. So I specifically needed to control my glucose levels. And so the things that I thought were like good for me were these smoothies or these protein bars or keto bread. And it had so many carbs and so much sugar. Like, even though like, it just wasn't. It just made me more aware of like everything that I put in my body. So not only do I have to be aware of like not eating things I'm allergic to, which helped eliminate the things that spike my glucose levels, I have to be mindful of keeping my blood sugar at a healthy rate. Like, you don't want it to drop super low. And mine has at times. So it's kind of like a balancing act. Like, I need to make sure I get enough protein to keep it up and extend it out. And then I have to make sure I have enough fiber in my diet to make sure if I do eat any carbs, it doesn't spike my glucose levels. So what happens when you do eat too much carbs or too much sugar? It spikes. And the problem with that is it's going to come straight down. There's nothing to like sustain it. So like if you are going to eat higher carbs or higher sugar, you have to combine it with a protein and a fiber to like prolong the drop, if that makes sense. So if it goes straight up and straight down, that's what causes food seeking behaviors and like those side effects of like getting headaches, feeling lethargic, feeling like you're hungry again right after you eat, feeling like you need a sugary snack after every time you eat, going to the pantry or the refrigerator and just staring at the fridge because you feel like you need something, binge eating moments. All of that is connected to your blood sugar. And I'm sorry if anybody says it's not. And I know it can be connected to other mental illnesses or other disorders. I totally understand that. But as soon as I got my glucose levels under control, I no longer felt any of that. For me specifically, I guess that's how I'll address this. For me specifically, as soon as I addressed my glucose levels and got those under control, I no longer had those binge eating moments. I no longer had those headaches. I no longer had those moments of feeling absolutely fucking starving after I had just eaten dinner 30 minutes ago. I thought there was something wrong with me because I would be hungry immediately, but it was because I wasn't giving my body the nutrition to sustain that glucose. It was just going up and going straight down. And I have now learned to give my body the fuel, you have to give it protein. You have to give it fiber. You have to give it a well-balanced meal of all the nutrients that you need rather than just eating to be full. And that's what I used to do. I would eat until I was full, or eat to be full. I didn't care what the protein intake was. I didn't care I don't think I ever got any fiber. I don't ever think I got any balance from anything because I was eating to satisfy that hunger feeling, not to fuel my body. And that's the difference now in this journey is my foods used to control me. I felt like I had to have something sugary after every meal. I felt like I had to have a snack first thing in the morning. I felt like I had to have all of this. I felt like I had to have Sour Patch Kids all over in my home office, in my car, in my office at the restaurant, in our bedroom. I used to feel like I had to have these Sour Patch Kids all over the place or I was going to die. And what it was is my blood sugar was dropping and I felt like I was going to die. I've had this happen since being on Mounjaro and being able to have the meter on. It's happened maybe 2 or 3 times since being on this, being able to monitor it. and I've been able to identify it. And it's just like, oh my God, Cecilia, you're not a fiend for the freaking Sour Patch Kids. Your fucking glucose was dropping and you didn't know. And you didn't need to go to McDonald's to eat another single cheeseburger meal after you guys just had dinner. It was because you didn't eat a good dinner to let your body feel full and use it for fuel. So that is what I've learned. And I am so grateful for the nutritionist with Alpha Health. That is actually what changed it. 2 weeks into my journey on Mounjaro, they suggested that I see a nutritionist. I was like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've done this before. I've seen nutritionists before. And they literally, like, every nutritionist that I've met with, it actually pisses me off because they're like, well, they can see what I'm allergic to. They can see like my history and what I've tried. And then they literally tell me, okay, eat this, this, and this. I'm like, but I'm allergic to that. And they're like, oh, well, find an alternative. Well, what's the alternative? Well, here's a list. You can pick from the list. Nobody ever sat me down and like explained any nutritional value. Nobody explained anything about protein. Nobody explained anything about fiber. Nobody explained a damn thing other than saying that I'm overweight and here's a list of foods that you should eat. And nearly 35 to 40% of it I was allergic to. So fast forward. I met with my nutritionist 2 weeks into my Mounjaro journey. And it's all via chat, so it's kind of weird, kind of not. And it's just like her asking a couple questions. I had to fill out a survey, and then she asked me a couple follow-up questions. Let me drink something real quick. This chick and her follow-up question. She had one follow-up question. And I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life, and I hope that maybe it'll help some of you. She says, how do you feel after you eat? And I thought that was a fucking stupid question. I'm like, what do you mean? How do I feel after I eat? She says, how do you feel after you eat? I said, most of the time I feel full. If I eat something I shouldn't have, it's usually a stomach ache. And there's just always a bad connection with eating. I always usually don't feel good afterwards. She's like, okay, go continue. I was like, well, I usually eat and then I feel bad. And then I either have severe stomach pains and I go to the bathroom, or I'm hungry within 30 minutes. And it blew my mind. She goes, oh, that makes sense. What do you mean this makes sense? What do you mean this makes sense? I've been going around in circles for years. Why? How does this just click for this lady? And she says, I think something is happening. She goes, I know it sounds crazy, but would you wear a glucose monitor for me? I said, sure. What are you thinking? She goes, I think your glucose is dropping, and that's why you're hungry again. She goes, you're not giving yourself the sustainable fuel that you need, and you are crashing. You're crashing, and that's why you feel like you need food or something sweet, or you crave more sugary things. That's why Sour Patch Kids are all over your house. And I'm just like, how does this lady who's just texting me from a little survey understand me more than I understand myself? And I was like, okay, all right, I'll wear it, but now what? I'm going to wear it, then now what? She's like, let's watch it for a week. And that week, oh my God, my numbers were, the line, the graph looked like a freaking heart rate monitor, up and down, up and down, up and down. She's like, all right, you see that? She goes, that's what we don't want. That's what's happening. She goes, when it's up really high, that's when you feel like you have to go get more sugar or you're hungry. And when it goes really low, she's like, that's when you want more sugar, or you feel like you have a headache, or you feel like you're going to pass out. She goes, both of those points, the highs and lows, you don't want those. She goes, sometimes they're inevitable, but you want to stay away from the super highs and the super lows. She goes, I want you to make a game out of it. Because I want you to keep your glucose levels in between, like almost consistent. And since I've done that, it's changed my life. And I'm not here trying to make like one of those like I don't know, confessions that you see on TV, like Mounjaro has changed my life and it saved me and blah blah blah. It really has. And I'm not trying to go into like the sob story or anything, but as soon as I was able to visually see my glucose levels and see they were out of control, I did not know before that that's what was going on, but I think I subconsciously knew. That's why I had candy everywhere. My blood sugar was dropping and I was choosing the wrong things to combat it. My blood sugar was dropping and I would run and get something fast because I was unaware. My body was trying to combat it for me subconsciously and I didn't know anything about it, so I chose the wrong things. Now I'm educated and I'm aware of how my glucose levels can be affected and controlled and what the high glucose levels feel like. I know what the low glucose levels feels like, and I know what to do when either of those happen now, or in how to prevent that. So what does it look like to control your glucose levels? So I've talked about it a couple different times here in this live, and it's about protein. Protein is number one, and then fiber. Having those two are what's going to continue to fuel your body. So now, understanding that carbs turn into sugar and carbs and sugar control your blood sugar, that was probably the biggest thing for me. I don't track anything, but I'm just mindful. Like I don't, I know it sounds silly, but like I don't eat bread, but it's because I'm allergic. But like I don't keep myself from eating sandwiches, if that makes sense. We've done a really good job of like making turkey roll-ups for me when Ryan does make a sandwich for lunch, and I don't feel like I'm missing out. Yesterday he took provolone cheese and like made like a little sandwich taco out of turkey meat and provolone cheese, and still put mayo on it, and like it was so good, and I ate it kind of like a taco. I'm Hispanic and we don't have tortillas in the house. I could probably eat corn tortillas, but I'm just not a big fan. And so instead we put lettuce down and our meat down and make it a big salad rather than like having it as tacos. One second, I don't think... Ryan is making his sauce, so I don't know if he knows I'm in here. I know I've jumped all over the place, and I'm really sorry for that. But today's comment in the video that I had to make, there was a lady who was not understanding of how I can eat what I want and I'm still losing weight. And that was what I was trying to convey in my videos in today's live, is that I've really learned what this medication is doing, or these types of medications, what they are doing for type 2 diabetics. Let me see if I can put this down a little bit. What they're doing for type 2 diabetics and the correlation between type 2 diabetics and obesity. The only difference is type 2 diabetes is the severity of their insulin resistance is higher than obesity. But obesity is the leading cause of type 2 diabetes. So you have to treat them both simultaneously. You can't treat one with privilege over the other. That doesn't make any sense. If obesity is the leading cause of type 2 diabetes, why wouldn't you treat both of them simultaneously? And it upsets me, or it scares me. I guess it's more of a scare of like, I don't know how to explain this without sounding weird. I'll try. It makes me anxious that I've seen comments on a lot of my videos, or comments saying, oh, I take Mounjaro and I don't have any issues with my blood sugar. I take Mounjaro and I am not insulin resistant. I take Mounjaro and I don't even know what else, but those were the two big ones that I know a lot of people talk about, or like make backhanded comments like, oh, why does she always talk about insulin resistance? And why does she always talk about blood sugars? I don't have those issues. Well, if you're obese and taking this medication, yes, you do. And that's not to point a finger. It's just to help bring awareness that obesity leads to type 2 diabetes. And if you don't think your obesity has caused metabolic issues, then why are you taking a medication that reduces your glucose levels and helps reduce your insulin resistance? That's where I get confused. I get confused on how some people can be so strong in their stance of saying, no, this isn't it. No, this isn't it. But then they're taking a medication that those are the two things that it corrects. I know that there's a wider range of things that are going on with Mounjaro and how they affect your body. I understand that. But the basics of these GLP medications is to reduce your glucose levels and correct insulin resistance. And if you can't understand those two concepts, it scares me for people to be taking a medication without that knowledge. And I know it's out there. The knowledge and the resources to understand it is out there. I just feel like maybe some people are in a little bit of a denial of what their condition really is, or they don't want to put a label on it. And I don't know, I'm just speculating. But if you don't understand how this medication works, then how are you going to make this a long-term how are you going to have long-term results from this if you are not going to correct what the problem actually is? And that's why you have to, I feel like you have to address yourself almost as if you are type 2 diabetic. You have to look at your blood sugars. You have to look at the carbs that you're taking in. You have to watch your sugars. Although I'm not counting them, my glucose monitor counts it for me. When I see that I'm in that happy range of pretty consistent levels, that's telling me I'm not having too much or too little. Like that's my counter, not me physically counting them. And I'm not telling you that you have to run and go get a glucose monitor. I'm not telling you that everybody has to, do things my way. But I am saying you should be mindful. I am saying that you should be aware. This weekend has been a little harder for me not having my glucose monitor on. But I'm still doing the same things. I'm still eating the way I should. And it just really irks me that people think when we say, I eat what I want, they automatically correlate eating what you want to eating poorly. And that's not the truth. There is a healing process. You have to heal that relationship with food. And I think I've done a very good job at, chipping away at that. And I no longer have this bad connection with food, and my food is no longer controlling me. I control the food that I intake. And having a healthy relationship with my food is what has allowed me to not track. Like, I know that I'm putting a good portion of protein in my body. I know that I'm always getting fiber in. I know that I'm getting a well-balanced meal because I've chosen not to have high processed foods in my life. I've chosen not to eat a bunch of fast food. I've chosen not to drink soda. I've chosen not to eat a bunch of fried food. Does that mean I will never have that? Absolutely not. It means that I choose on a normal basis not to have those, but if I want to have those, or there's a situation where that's what we're having, I'm going to allow myself. But it's a treat, not an indulgence. It's a treat to go have some fast food. It's a treat to have a soda. But when you make it a constant, like that's all you eat and that's all you have, that's all you drink, your blood sugars are never coming back down to normal. And that's what was happening with me. My blood sugars were never normal because I was constantly eating out. I was constantly drinking things I shouldn't drink, ginger ale mostly. It's just, it was a bad cycle for me. But, oh guys, I think I have to go check on something. Let me see if I can pause this. Let me see, pause live. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I don't know what I was talking about. Yeah. So healing that relationship with my food has been the biggest process in this journey. And I think that's why I get so compelled to convey that message, because it was that biggest aha moment for me. And I'm not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. So I am completely comfortable saying that this is my experience, and I don't know if it's going to be for everybody. And I don't know if this is what's going on in everybody's situation. But for me, in understanding how these medications work, the moment that I identified where my glucose levels were, how to control them, what spiked them, what to do when they go low, what to do when they go high, that gave me my control back. And now I'm down a little over 72 pounds. I keep teetering like a couple ounces after 72 pounds, like between 72 and 73. That's why I always say that. I am down 72 pounds in 25 and a half weeks. It's amazing. I feel great. And, you know, it's not going to be the same for everybody. I'll accept that. It's not going to work for everybody. Just like diets don't work for everyone. The same diet doesn't work for everybody. Keto doesn't work for everybody. Like, I get it. But if you could be mindful of your glucose levels and be mindful of your glucose or your blood sugar intake or your carb and sugar intake to control your glucose levels, I know it's not going to hurt you. I know it will help in some way. It may just not be the catalyst that you need, like it has been in my situation. So, but that's a little bit about my story and like how I've got here and like where I've been and what I've gone through. I think the biggest moment for me was, or the biggest like push to get healthy was actually being sent to Illinois Cancer Center last year to see a hematologist for my blood work. And being there, seeing cancer patients, and this is not in a negative tone, but seeing how sick people were, seeing that I was being sent to that location, the Illinois Cancer Center, to be observed, to be tested, to be monitored. Initially, it was for leukemia. Then we were looking at a rare blood disorder that is also a cancer. And then we finally cleared everything, and we believe it is truly based on the different blood type that I have. And then we'll identify that later this year. But to see myself being in that situation, I just kept saying, this can't be it for me. This can't be my life. I'm tired of sitting at doctor's appointments. I'm tired of going and having testing done. I'm tired of going to doctors after doctors, specialists after specialists. Being at the Illinois Cancer Center really put things into perspective. Like, obviously something is wrong. I'm very, very, very grateful that everything came out positively for me and my outcome on this journey with the Illinois Cancer Center. I am very blessed. I'm very, very blessed. I'm very, very thankful. But I know that if I continued my life the way it was, I would end up there or in a different doctor's setting for another medical condition or another health condition or another problem 6 months, 8 months, a year later. And I don't fucking want that. If I could help it, I don't want to go to another doctor's appointment. I don't want to be unhealthy. I don't want people to be comfortable with me telling them I have another doctor's appointment or another surgery or it became a norm for me, and I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be sick. It was a norm for people to ask, oh, are you feeling okay? Oh, well, you don't have to if you don't feel okay. It was normal for people to ask me, or say things like that. It was normal for people to say, well, we're doing this, but if you don't feel good, you don't have to come. I am tired of that being my norm. And over the last 6 months, things have definitely improved. Things have definitely changed. I'm down over 72 pounds. I have a good relationship with the gym. I have a good relationship with my food. I am healing my relationships with my friends, because there have been many times where I didn't go do things because I didn't feel good. There has been many times where I canceled or couldn't go do things because I didn't feel good. And I want that to change. I want to make memories with my friends. I want to go on trips with Ryan. I want to go on vacations. I want to travel. I told Ryan, we had a nice day today, weather-wise here in Illinois. I have not left the house or even gone outside, but I said, we had the doors open, so there was fresh air coming in. I said, the moment there is no snow on the ground, I'm taking those dogs on a walk every single day I can, because that's what I want to do. And I can. I'm no longer going to freaking talk about it. I'm going to be about it. I'm going to go on walks every day with my dogs, because they deserve it just as much as I do. They deserve to get out of the house. My dogs are stuck in the house all day because that's all they do is sit in our house. With me, I work from home, and then our restaurant is just a mile down the road. We don't leave our house that often, so that doesn't give the dogs a chance to leave to go do anything either. They deserve to have a healthier life too. They deserve to be out walking or going on car rides to the dog park. I want to have the energy to do those things, and I do now. And nothing's going to stop me. Yesterday, I just up and went to the gym. I had not gone to the gym since about the first week of January. So January was really awful for me. I had a lot of mental unsteadiness with getting prepared for the biopsy, the bone marrow biopsy. I had that done on the 13th, and then I had to wait 2.5 freaking weeks or even 3 weeks to get the results. And so like, I'm telling you, it was bad. My mental state was bad. So I didn't do anything the month of January. So being back in the gym yesterday felt so good. Although I wish I would have went today, probably because it was nice and everything. Like, I'm happy I had a relaxing day and I'm not like bummed about it. I'm happy that I gave myself the grace to feel comfortable at home. I'm not sick. I'm not tired. I just lounged all day. I don't know, guys. I'm not holding anything back this year. That makes sense. I hope you guys enjoyed my Sunday story of my adventure, my journey. It will be on replay on YouTube if you guys want to check it out. Reminder, Tuesday, I'm going to be with my mom. She will be on live. I won't set a timer or like an event reminder for it because I don't know exactly what time that we will be able to go live for it. But it will be definitely after 2, between 2 and 7. So the nail salon closes at 7. So I know, and she gets off work at 2. So in between 2 and 7, we're going to the nail salon. We're getting pedicures. I'm getting my nails done because I have to go to work physically on Wednesday and I cannot go in there with my nails looking like this. And if you guys know me, these are my real nails. So I can't go there like that. So we're going to go get our nails done. And then we're going to get our pedicure too. Like my nails have to match my toes. So we have to, if I'm doing my nails, I have to match my toes. That's an OCD thing. So, yeah. So I'm really excited to share my mom's story. She had gastric bypass surgery done in 2004. So early 2000s. But her situation was a little bit different. When they went in, they found that her intestines were flipped upside down and backwards. So where her gallbladder was, or her appendix was in the wrong place. So her appendix and gallbladder were flipped, like they were in the wrong places. And then her intestines, so like when you're a baby, your intestines kind of like turn like this and go inwards and develop. Hers just went in. They didn't twist how they were supposed to. So when they did her gastric bypass surgery, they had a lot of complications, and they had to do other things. And then she just had a lot of complications. And I think it was just more of like doctors didn't help her, like be aware of like the aftercare type things of like the nutrients. And we both struggle because we have this allergy to wheat and whey. My mom is allergic to whey protein. So whey is pretty much in everything that she was supposed to drink, and she couldn't. So we struggled there. We struggled a lot. So, but she'll be happy to share her story. She loves talking about it. So we'll share that on Sunday or on Tuesday. Today's Sunday. Oh. All right, guys. So Tuesday we'll go live. I'm going to wrap up Sunday stories. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story. And if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer. This will be on replay on the YouTube channel, which is connected in my bio. And if you would like to be a guest here on Sunday Stories, go ahead and sign up. The link is in my bio. It says be my guest. We will not be doing Sunday Stories next Sunday, so a week from today, because that is Super Bowl Sunday and I have to help at the restaurant. So no stories next weekend. We will do my mom's on Tuesday, and then maybe I'll post clips on Sunday next week of like different ones that we've done. Maybe I'll do a montage of them. So thank you guys so much. Have a good night.